Everyone, my name is Tammy Sadler-Jones, and I'm the City Administrator, and I would like to call to order the License and Variance Board meeting for Wednesday, September 25th, 2019 at 10 a.m. Board members present to my left is Roy Akery, the Fire Chief, and to his left is Kevin Moore, the City Engineer. Mary Arvin is our Administrative Services Coordinator, and she will be taking the official meeting minutes. First item is a public hearing. Variance request V19039 allows second story on existing single-family home with non-conforming front and side setbacks, land lot 449, 0.22 acres, 2790 Fraser Street, with Tanisha Fields is the applicant. Ms. Fields, can you step to the podium, please?
I'm not Tanisha Fields. I'm her realtor and her friend. I sold her the house. She's away out the country on business, so I'm here for her.
Okay, all right. Can you state your name?
Shakiva Robinson.
Okay, all right. Well, can you tell us about Mrs. Fields' variance request, please?
Yes, she purchased the home to move in it, and so she's adding a second story on the original home and want to add a front porch.
Okay. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
No, well, I'm sorry. Any questions for the board? Okay, all right. Well, we'll have our staff make comments, and if you can just sit on the front row in case we have additional questions for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, good morning. My name is Caitlin Crow, Planner 1 over at Community Development. So this variance is V19-039 to allow a second story on an existing single-family home with existing non-conforming front and side setbacks. The subject property is a 0.22 acre lot over on Fraser Street. The applicant is proposing to add a second story as well as a front deck on the existing structure. Section 801 of the zoning ordinance restricts R15 lots to a front setback of 35 feet and side setbacks of 10 feet. The subject property was constructed prior to the adoption of the current zoning ordinance and does have those existing non-conforming setbacks, is currently below the minimum house size and below the minimum lot size. So adding this second story addition would bring the house up to the minimum house size, bringing it further into compliance. Additionally, almost an identical variance was approved over on Fraser Street in 2018, just last year. It has been properly posted. There's been no site distance issues. So after reviewing the variance application, staff does support the request and recommends approval to allow a second story addition onto the existing single-family home with non-conforming front and side setbacks. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any conditions?
For this, we are just having the condition tied to the site plan that was submitted.
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. If anyone else would like to speak regarding this issue, please step to the podium at this time.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for your time. I have some concerns.
Can you state your name, please, and your address?
Christine Amder. I live at 2800 Fraser Street, right next door
Okay.
to this property in question. And I have some concerns. I have read this whole plan that was provided. And I'm first of all wondering if this property was properly surveyed, because she says the side setback currently is about 7 feet, but if it's surveyed, it's usually not in about terms. And I went up and measured it. It's actually 8.1 feet from my fence line between the properties. And if she wants to reduce the setback from the fence line from 10 feet to 7 feet, we're already at 8.1 feet. So I don't have a problem with moving that a foot over. My problem is that she also says the adjacent properties to both the north and south will maintain a minimum of 10 feet separation from the subject property. Between our houses is 18 feet. So it seems to me if this is approved, that's giving her the flexibility to expand outward 8 feet. to maintain the 10 feet between. It's not very, it's the unclarity of this that's concerning me, that I also feel that she wouldn't be applying for a variance if she didn't have plans to expand that property outward. She also says that she will need to require the foundation to be removed and reconfigured, which again makes me concerned that they're going to expand it outward. The property that was just brought to your attention, that the almost identical variance request was approved for 2821 Fraser Street. That is a corner lot, which does not affect house separation if they expanded that variance outward, because that is their own property being on the corner. So in summary of that, if a side variance is approved, it appears that the developer will have the flexibility in writing to build a wider structure, which is of concern. And secondly, 2790 is in the middle of the street, surrounded by single-story homes, and a two-story will just look unsightly being there. When the houses were built in the 1950s, were the foundations stable enough to hold a second story, which again would require a new foundation to be poured and not limiting her to expand it outward. I have no problem with developing a larger house and adding to our property values on Fraser Street. I'm just concerned about the ambience of our quaint homes that back up to the park being sacrificed if one home towers over the rest. One idea I had is to consider building back into the yard instead of adding a second story, since the backyard is large enough to accommodate that. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Any questions for the staff?
I've got a couple questions for Ms. Crow. So, you know, as you're aware, we've got access to the whole application here electronically, and I do see a survey. Mm-hmm. And is it true that the applicant has already submitted, I mean, looking at a picture of a front elevation, so it's not, this allowance of this variance wouldn't be just to go ahead and build whatever you want, right? Because the existing home is within the current, is into the now applicable setbacks, right? And it's existing non-compliant because when it was built, those setbacks weren't in place.
Correct, and this wouldn't be for a horizontal expansion into that setback. It's just a vertical expansion, keeping the current setback distance.
Right. So, and also, we when you were up here just a minute ago, we referenced the one condition, but for the sake of the comments and for the record, I'm just going to read it verbatim. The condition is approval of the requested variance shall be conditioned upon the development of the property in substantial compliance with the site plan and elevations submitted within the variance application. So within the application, the applicant has already said this specifically is what I would like to do, this
Correct.
Vertical and not horizontal.
Correct.
And that condition, as I just read, is going to bind the applicant, should this be approved, to only doing what they've applied to do. They
That
won't
is
have
correct.
just a free-for-all to do whatever.
Yes,
Right.
if they did want to amend that, they would have to come back in front of the board.
Right. Okay, thank you.
And then,
Yes,
go ahead.
Of course.
Will the issue about the building foundations, will that be part of the review process for the building permit? Will that be addressed at that time? She had a question about whether or not the existing foundations were structurally sound enough to support a second story. Will that be part of the building permit review process?
Correct, yes, our chief building official does look at that. I know when he looks at those plans, he does make sure that they do submit an engineer's report showing that the first floor can withstand a second floor addition. So that will absolutely be part of that building permit application. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Well, I wanted to ask the applicant's representative, on behalf of the applicant, do you accept the one condition as stated?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
A motion to approve variance request on existing single-family home with non-conforming front and side setbacks, land lot 449, 0.22 acres located at 2790 Fraser Street for Ms. Tanisha Fields, with the one condition as previously read onto the record.
Second.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V19039. All in favor, please vote. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is 9040. Reduce side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet, land lot 489, 0.47 acres, 2668 Brown Circle, Clinton Kurtz is the applicant. Can you step to the podium? And for the record, can you state your name?
Hey, good morning. I'm Clinton Kurtz.
Okay, all right. And Mr. Kurtz, can you tell us about your variance request, please?
Yeah, sure. There's already an existing garage there. It's about 3 feet from the property line. It's in disrepair, and I'd like to rebuild it and bring it into so it looks nice and it's structurally sound, and the electrical, everything is good. Bring it up to code, and I'd like to leave it where it is. It's kind of cost prohibitive to move it because this foundation is there, the slab is there, the electrical is there, all that stuff's there. So I'd like to just leave it where it is. My plan is to connect it to the house with a breezeway too. So right now there's currently two structures on the land. The garage and the house are separate, and I would connect them when I rebuild it.
All right. Any questions for the applicant? All right. At this time, we'll have our staff make comments.
All right. Again, Caitlin Crow, Planner 1 from Community Development. So this variance is V19-040 to reduce the side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet. The subject property is a pie-shaped lot located on Brown Circle. The applicant is proposing to renovate and add onto the existing garage structure, including that breezeway. Section 801 of the zoning ordinance restricts R15 lots to a side setback of 10 feet. There's an existing gravel driveway and concrete footprint that has been there at least since 1996 from a site plan. Due to the property shape and existing structure, the variance grants the most logical positioning to reconstruct this existing garage. It has also been properly posted and no site distance issues, and there were no comments or complaints heard by staff at this time. After reviewing the variance application, staff does support the request and recommends approval to reduce the side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the staff?
Just one. The existing structure that's there, the garage, is it currently within the side setback?
Yes, it is currently at that 3 feet. So it would just be along the same line. There is a concrete pad that would be incorporated into this new structure, but it would be at the same setback that it is at currently.
Okay, thank you.
This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this issue, please step to the podium at this time. Seeing no one, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the variance request V19 from 10 feet to 3 feet, land lot 489, 0.47 acres, 2668 Brown Circle, with the applicant of Clinton Kurtz.
Second.
It's been motioned and properly seconded that we approve variance V19040. All in favor, please vote. All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is a public hearing, V19041, reduce rear setback from 30 feet to 15 feet for garage addition. Land lot 416, 0.27 acres, 804 Bank Street, Daniel J. Korb Sr. and Gail D. Harbecki is the applicant. Can you step to the podium, please, and state your name?
Gail Harbecki.
Okay.
We would like to add a garage in the back, which, because of the shape of the lot, would require it being closer to the back than the setback requirements. On the west side, I think there are no issues. On the east side of the lot, the drive, which would need to connect the current driveway to go farther behind the house, would be inside. It would not have the proper amount of setback. The garage would be attached to the house with a breezeway.
Okay. And you do have 3 separate variances here, so we'll take them individually.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Any questions about the first variance request? Okay, Caitlin, would you like to provide us with comments, please?
All right. Caitlin Crow, Planner 1, Community Development. If it's all right with you, I'll kind of go over all of them at once, and then
That's
we can
fine.
go individually if needed.
Okay.
So the first variance is V19-041 to reduce the rear setback from 30 feet to 15 feet for this garage addition. So the subject property is 0.27 acres located there on Bank Street. So the applicant is proposing to construct a garage addition in the rear of the home. Section 801 of the zoning ordinance does restrict R15 lots to a rear setback of 30 feet. Since there's an existing driveway and because of the property shape, this is the most feasible location for a new garage. So the second variance, I'll just, like I said, go over them all briefly here, is V19-042 to allow that driveway to be within 5 feet of the property line. As the applicant has mentioned, the current driveway is already within the 5 feet limit. They would just be extending it as is to connect to this new garage. And then the third variance will be V19-043 to allow the impervious surface increase from 35% to 38%. So the R15 zoning district does limit that impervious area to 35%. With this garage addition and driveway, it will put them just over. So after talking with the engineering department, it has been agreed that they can replace some of that concrete with about 350 square feet of pervious pavers to offset this increase. And that is also one of the conditions we have added, is that the applicant will replace some of that concrete with the pervious pavers. So after reviewing the variance application, staff supports each of these requests and recommends approval to allow the impervious surface area increase, rear setback reduction, and allowing the driveway within 5 feet of the property line. All 3 of these were properly posted with no site distance issues. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Any questions for the staff?
Just one. So you mentioned the 2 conditions. The first one is what we refer to informally as a standard condition. Mm-hmm. And that one is the approval of the requested variance shall be conditioned upon the development of the property in substantial compliance with the site plan submitted. The second one, I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, deals with the third impervious surface request. The second one is to offset the increase in impervious surface area. 350 square feet of the driveway needs to be a pervious paving surface. So that condition is specifically just for the third variance request, right?
Yes.
So, and while I've got you up here, I know that we're going to vote on all these individually. Right now in front of us is the first one, which is really the contemplation of a rear setback. But while I've got you here, the second one, you mentioned that It deals with the driveway. So I was looking at the site plan. It looks like the existing driveway that they want to extend is already existing non-conforming with regard to side setbacks, right? So
Correct.
what they're asking to do is just extend that down to this garage that they'd like to build.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, that's all I had.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I had one. Is there any issues with any boundary trees for that new driveway addition that they might be impacting on their neighbor's property? Is that something that would be looked at during the building permit process?
We could make that a condition. At this point, that was not something, unless they go over 50% of the land disturbance, we would not look at the tree plan. This is a single-family home, which is currently exempt from the tree ordinance. You could add that as a stipulation if needed.
And then kind of piggybacking on top of that, I don't know what the topography looks like, but with it being that close to the neighbor's property, in the event that they impact the neighbor's property, we'd want them to get permission from their neighbor if there was any reason that they would have to get on their property to facilitate the installation.
And we could absolutely do that if the applicant is able to. We can do that during permitting.
Okay.
So do we want to add a condition? You don't think it's necessary?
That you guys can handle during the building permit process.
Okay.
I think that's fine.
All right. And for the applicants, do you accept the two conditions as stated? Okay. All right. This is a public hearing. If anyone has any issues regarding this first item, please step to the podium at this time. There's nobody here but the applicants and staff, so this time I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
I'll motion to approve V19 from 30 to 15 feet for a garage addition before Bank Street for Daniel J. Korb and Gail Harbeke as the applicant, with the two conditions as read into the record by staff.
May I have a second?
I second that motion.
It's been motioned and properly seconded that we approve variance request, V19041. All in favor, please vote. Okay. All right, motion passes unanimously. Next item is a public hearing. Allow driveway within 5 feet of the property line, land lot 416, 0.27 acres, 804 Bank Street. Any other comments about this one? Any questions? This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this issue, please step to the podium at this time. And seeing no one, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve variance request V19042, allow driveway within 5 feet of the property line, land lot 416, 0.27 acres, 804 Bank Street, with Daniel J. Korb and Gail Harbeke as the applicants.
Second.
That we approve variance request V19041. All in favor, please vote. All right, motion passes unanimously. Next item is a public hearing. Allow impervious surface increase from 35% to 38% of total lot area, land lot 416, 0.27 acres, 804 Bank Street, Daniel J. Karp Sr. and Gail D. Harbeke is the applicant. Any other questions or comments about this item? This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this issue, please step to the podium at this time. And seeing no one, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Motion to approve V19-043 to 38% of total area, land lot 416, 0.27 acres, 804 Bank Street, with the two conditions previously read into the record.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and properly seconded that we approve variance request V19043. All in favor, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much. Next item is approval of the 11th, 2019 License and Variance Board meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve the September 11th, 2019 License and Variance Board meeting minutes.
Second.
It's been motioned and properly seconded that we approve the 2019 License and Variance Board meeting. All in favor, please vote. Motion passes unanimously, and I'd like to declare this meeting adjourned at 10:26 a.m. Thank you.